Lucas Ferreira, a rising soccer star from Portugal, plays for one of the top clubs in the United States. Known for his charisma on and off the field, he's living the dream of any player. However, what few know is that Lucas harbors a dark secret: he's involved in an illegal soccer betting scheme. At first, it seemed like an innocent hobby, a way to stay connected to the game off the field, but what started as fun quickly spiraled into something terrifying. After a crucial mistake during a decisive match, Lucas realizes that this is no longer just a game. The bets, controlled by dangerous syndicates, become about more than just money. He thinks he can manage it, controlling what he bets on and the information he passes along. But a flashback from his youth reveals a suspicious encounter with a betting agent who approached him while he was still playing in Portugal's youth leagues. It was something he always brushed off as unimportant, but now it echoes ominously in his decisions. The sense of control he once had is about to prove to be nothing more than an illusion. The pressure builds as, after the match, Lucas receives an anonymous phone call. The voice on the other end congratulates him for the right decision on the field but makes it clear that nothing was coincidental. "We knew you'd miss that shot," says the voice, cold and threatening. Lucas stays silent, sweat running down his forehead, but the call ends with a chilling warning: "You've got a debt to pay. And this time, it's not about money." Shaken, Lucas questions how he got into this mess. He reflects on the moment his life changed, when he casually met Mario, the same man who approached him years ago and now returns with new demands. Mario was supposed to be an old contact, an intermediary in the betting world, but clearly, the stakes have changed, and Lucas is now at the center of something much bigger and more dangerous. Now, surrounded by secrets and veiled threats, Lucas discreetly begins investigating who is really behind these bets. The idea that his mistake on the field was planned gnaws at his sanity. But he can't trust anyone, not even his agent, who seems to know more than he's letting on. Every time Lucas tries to pull away, the betting world drags him deeper. New characters emerge, each with uncertain motives: an investigative reporter asking too many questions about Lucas's recent performances, a teammate who seems to be watching his every move, and Mario, continuing to pressure him with vague hints and dark warnings. The only certainty Lucas has is that he's playing a game he doesn't fully understand. As Lucas's investigation progresses, he uncovers a disturbing detail: the betting ring he's been feeding information to is connected to an international cartel manipulating matches worldwide. His career, his reputation, and even his personal life are now at stake. He's not just afraid of losing games anymore, he's afraid of losing everything. The following days are torture for Lucas. His performance on the field worsens with each game, and rumors of his involvement in something illicit begin to circulate among sports journalists. Once hailed for his brilliant goals and incredible plays, his name is now tied to mistakes and suspicious behavior. The media starts speculating about his sudden decline, and the coach, frustrated, pressures him to be the old Lucas again. But Lucas knows that something much bigger is at play. One restless night, he receives a message from Mario: "Found the answers you were looking for?" The message, dripping with sarcasm, makes it clear that someone is watching Lucas's every move. Suspicious, Lucas decides to confront Mario. They meet at a discreet bar, away from prying eyes. Mario, with his usual cold smile, toys with Lucas's mind, suggesting that Lucas had always known deep down where this path would lead. He reveals a shocking truth: "You think you're in control, but we picked you a long time ago." Mario explains that years ago, while Lucas was still in youth leagues, he was marked as a promising talent, not just in football, but as someone who could be manipulated by the betting world. Since then, Lucas has been subtly guided to this point without ever realizing it. His success was carefully orchestrated, and the mistakes he thought were just bad luck or poor judgment were actually part of a much bigger plan. Now in shock, Lucas realizes the depth of the web he's caught in. As Lucas tries to process these revelations, an unexpected incident occurs. During practice, Lucas gets into an argument with another player, Rick, a hot-tempered defender known for his aggression. The tension escalates, but what really worries Lucas is Rick's confrontation afterward. "I thought you were smarter, Lucas. People are watching you. Be careful with your next moves, or you could end up off the field, permanently." Rick's veiled threat forces Lucas to question whether his teammate is involved in the betting ring. Is Rick another pawn in the game or someone trying to save his own skin? With these new pieces of information, Lucas begins to connect the dots. His agent, Mario, and even Rick seem to be tied to a larger conspiracy involving players around the world. But one thing still eludes Lucas: why him? What's the true objective of this betting network? And what's his next move to break free from its grasp? Despite all the twists and turns, Lucas faces a moral dilemma: betray his talent and succumb to the betting ring, or risk everything, even his life, to expose the truth. The pieces of the puzzle are starting to fall into place, but he still can't see the full picture. One thing is clear, though, the sense of looming danger is growing more real by the second. Lucas is spiraling. His performance on the field worsens with each passing match, and now rumors of his involvement in something shady are growing louder in the media. Once a fan favorite, he's now jeered by his own supporters, and the club's management calls him in for a meeting. During the meeting, his agent, Flavio, tries to calm him down, saying he'll take care of everything, but Lucas can no longer trust anyone. There's something about Flavio's demeanor that feels off. Meanwhile, Mario continues bombarding Lucas with mysterious messages and calls. In one of them, Mario lets slip that the betting ring is about to blow up. Lucas, time's running out. Either you play the game we need, or you're going to lose a lot more than just matches. The threat is clear: if Lucas doesn't cooperate, the consequences will be fatal. To hammer the point home, Mario sends a disturbing video, another famous player, who tried to leave the ring, involved in a suspicious car accident that doesn't look accidental at all. Desperate, Lucas takes action. He hires a private investigator, Max O'Connor, an ex-cop with connections in the underground betting world who's cracked similar cases before. Together, they start putting together a dossier with the few clues Lucas has gathered. However, Max warns Lucas that messing with these kinds of people is dangerous and could have irreversible consequences. Lucas, however, is willing to risk it all, believing that exposing the scheme is the only way to save himself. In a shocking twist, Lucas receives a crucial piece of information from Max, evidence directly linking his agent, Flavio, to the betting ring. Flavio isn't just a facilitator, he's one of the main operators, manipulating match outcomes not only in the US but across several international leagues. Even worse, Max uncovers that the betting ring goes beyond just fixing matches, it's part of a larger money laundering operation using players as pawns. Lucas is just one piece in a global game, and the ring is willing to eliminate anyone who threatens to expose them. Thinking he's finally piecing everything together, Lucas decides to confront Flavio. They meet in a hotel suite, where Lucas lays all the cards on the table and demands answers. At first, Flavio denies everything, but under Lucas's pressure, he changes his tune. He reveals that Lucas has been watched ever since his youth league days and that, in reality, his contract with the club was manipulated to ensure he'd enter the betting ring. "Do you think you got here just on talent? Everything was orchestrated to get you playing where we needed you to be," Flavio admits. Lucas, in shock, realizes that his entire career has been manipulated, that he was never truly in control. But just when Lucas thinks he has the upper hand, Flavio drops a bombshell. "You think you're the only one, Lucas? There are others like you, and if you try to expose this, your career, your family, everything will disappear." He hands Lucas an envelope with incriminating evidence against other players, suggesting Lucas back off and let the scheme continue, or face the same deadly consequences as those before him. Lucas leaves the meeting with his head spinning. The game he thought he was playing is far from over, and now, the price of his freedom might be higher than he ever imagined. With the envelope in hand and his mind racing, Lucas realizes he's at the center of a storm. The evidence inside not only implicates other players but also connects influential figures in the sport, club owners, agents, and even federation officials. Lucas now holds something so dangerous he can hardly believe it. Flavio warned him that if he tries to expose the ring, he'll become the target of something much larger. Now, Lucas faces the dilemma of his life: stay silent to protect his career or blow the whistle and risk everything he holds dear. Days later, Max O'Connor calls Lucas with alarming news. During his separate investigation, Max uncovers that there's a mole inside the club. Someone has been feeding information about Lucas's every move directly to the ring leaders. This revelation makes Lucas realize why, even in his most private moments, he always felt watched. The betrayal is closer than he thought. Meanwhile, Lucas feels the walls closing in. During practice, he notices that his teammate Rick, the one who had threatened him, is constantly watching his every move. Lucas, now more cautious, decides to act differently. He begins provoking Rick, trying to extract more information. A tense conversation follows after practice, and Rick, under pressure, reveals that he too is involved in the betting ring. "You think you can get out of this? They have eyes everywhere, Lucas. One mistake from you, and we're both dead." Lucas then learns a crucial part of the operation. Rick isn't just another player caught up in the betting scheme. He's one of the intermediaries, responsible for manipulating younger, inexperienced players and ensuring the desired outcomes are achieved. He's the mole Max had mentioned. Lucas feels the sting of betrayal but, to his surprise, Rick offers a deal. if Lucas stays quiet and cooperates, Rick will guarantee that the ring leaders leave him alone. Just play the game the way they want. Exit at the end of the season. You and I survive. Simple. At this point, Lucas feels like he's trapped in a corner. As much as he wants to resist, the threat now looms larger than ever. Then, a new betrayal unfolds. Max O'Connor mysteriously disappears. Lucas tries contacting him repeatedly, but there's no answer. Fearing the worst, he goes to Max's office only to find it ransacked, as if someone had broken in looking for evidence. Max had been one of the few people Lucas could trust, and now, he's gone. Devastated, Lucas seriously considers Rick's deal. But before he can make a decision, he receives an unexpected call from investigative journalist Samantha Cole. Known for her relentless exposés on corruption in sports, Samantha reveals that she's been investigating the betting ring for months and has enough proof to bring down the entire system. "If you help me, we can end this together," she urges with a tone of desperation in her voice. Lucas's internal conflict intensifies. He knows that helping Samantha might be his only chance to escape this nightmare, but he also knows that if he makes the wrong move, he could end up like Max, vanished or worse. After that call, Lucas makes a crucial decision. He agrees to meet Samantha in secret, but they need to move quickly. The ring is on high alert, and one slip could be fatal. Lucas decides that the upcoming final game of the season will be the stage where he makes his last stand, but he has to plan his moves carefully. He knows that the outcome won't just depend on his skill on the field but on his ability to outwit those manipulating him. This time, Lucas has to win more than just the game. The final match of the season is approaching, and Lucas feels the weight of the world on his shoulders. Samantha Cole, the relentless journalist, is now his only ally, and the two meet in secret at an abandoned parking lot, far from the watchful eyes of the betting ring. She presents convincing evidence, recordings, illegal financial transactions, and even messages exchanged between the ring's members, all connecting directly to players, agents, and high-ranking football officials. Lucas realizes that the evidence she's collected is devastating, enough to ruin careers and destroy reputations. "With your help, we can end this once and for all," Samantha insists. But Lucas is torn. He knows that by helping Samantha, he'll not only risk his own life but also his family's safety. Even worse, he suspects that if the investigation is exposed incorrectly, the powerful figures behind the scheme will escape, leaving him as the scapegoat. He hesitates, but the pressure intensifies when Samantha reveals something that shakes Lucas to his core. Max O'Connor's disappearance was orchestrated by the ring itself, and Max may already be dead. That breaks the last thread of doubt Lucas had. Max risked his life to help him, and now Lucas feels an obligation to avenge his disappearance. Returning to the club, Lucas confronts Rick once more, who makes another attempt to persuade him to stay in the ring. "After all, it's just a game," Rick says, flashing a cold smile. But Lucas, now with a new plan in mind, simply nods. He needs to pretend he's accepting the deal to buy time and execute his final move. On the day of the decisive match, the stadium is packed, and expectations are high. Lucas feels the tension in every fiber of his being. He knows the outcome of the game won't just be a matter of football, but life and death. What no one knows is that Lucas and Samantha have carefully planned their final strike. The night before, they sent an anonymous dossier to the police and major TV networks, detailing the operation of the betting ring and its ties to organized crime. The match begins, and Lucas plays like never before, executing each move with precision. He knows the ring is watching him closely, and any deliberate mistake or perfect play could be the end of his career, or his life. At halftime, just as the team is about to head back onto the field, Lucas is approached by Flavio, his agent. The man seems eerily calm, which only heightens Lucas's suspicion. "We're watching you, Lucas. Just do what needs to be done. It all ends today." As the second half begins, Lucas feels a mix of panic and adrenaline. He realizes he can't trust anyone inside the club. With each play, he balances his performance to avoid raising suspicions while ensuring that his and Samantha's plan unfolds as expected. As the ball rolls across the pitch, chaos erupts behind the scenes. The police, armed with Samantha's information, begin a massive operation to arrest the ring's members. Undercover agents surround the stadium and start monitoring all suspects. In the final minutes of the match, Lucas, in a bold act of defiance, does the opposite of what the betting ring expected. He scores a spectacular goal that secures his team's victory, going completely against the predetermined outcome. The celebration on the field is muted by the growing tension of it. The police operation intensifies, and agents begin arresting club executives, agents, and even Rick, who is handcuffed still wearing his jersey. Flavio, realizing what's happening, tries to flee but is intercepted by police in the stadium's corridors. Desperate, he accuses Lucas of betrayal, shouting that he'll pay for this. Lucas, panting on the field, watches as the man who ruined his life, and so many others, is taken away in handcuffs. But the victory feels hollow. Lucas knows the ring is too large to be fully dismantled in a single operation, and the truly powerful figures, the ones he never saw, are still out there. Samantha finds him in the locker room after the game, smiling with the job done, but they both know this was just one battle won. You exposed part of the iceberg, Lucas, but there's a lot more out there. Lucas, still shaken, thanks her for her courage but admits, my life will never be the same. As Lucas tries to process everything that's happened, he receives an anonymous message. The content is simple but chilling. You think it's over? The game's just begun. Now, put yourself in Lucas Ferreira's shoes. You, a sports idol with the world at your feet, discover that everything you've achieved is being controlled by a betting ring that manipulates more than just game outcomes. Faced with the chance to expose it all, would you hesitate? What would you do? Would you keep playing dirty to save your own life, or risk everything to blow the whistle? And if it were you, could you handle the consequences of betraying those who manipulate the system? Would you think about protecting your family? Or would you be willing to sacrifice your career and freedom for justice? Lucas's dilemma goes beyond football. It's about choosing between what's right and what's safe. Comment below, what would you do if you were in his shoes? Could you fight to the end, knowing the enemy is powerful and invisible? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications to catch the next legal thriller.